Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from the user Pons. There is a trigger warning on it of sexual assault and invasion of privacy too, so if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. It's titled My 24 Female Best Friend's 23 Female Boyfriend 25 Male Tried to Take Creep Shots of Me and I don't know how to tell her. Sorry if this is a little long. I don't really know where to begin. So Erin and I have been friends since middle school. We've been through it all. She has overcome many difficult relationships, moved past it and changed into a different person. For the better. About 3 years back, she met her now boyfriend, Ryan. When I say Erin was obsessed with Ryan, I mean it. She constantly talked about him and was completely head over heels for this guy, even before they started dating. Eventually, they did become official. They quickly moved in together. His hometown, not ours, have traveled together quite extensively, and have pretty much been a model couple. All of Erin's friends really like Ryan. He fits in perfectly and is just a really nice person. Erin is extremely happy with Ryan. She often tells me how she is still just as in love as when they first met, and how she feels like they're supposed to be together. They travel, live in a great area, and have their dream puppy. Basically, everything she's ever wanted has come true in the past year or so. I've never seen her so happy, and it is really an amazing thing to see for me. Before this all, I was so happy for her and Ryan. So, here's the problem. About 1.5 weeks ago, Ryan, Erin, and myself went out drinking. None of us drank much, and we called it an early night. It was planned that I'll be staying on their pull-out bed in the living room for the night. I'd bought pajama shorts and a tank top, which I didn't give any thought to as this is my usual sleepwear at a friend's. Anyway, we go to bed and all is well. About 4 a.m, I'm startled awake by something very lightly moving past my feet. I should note that I pull a pillow over my head to block out the noise from outside. At first, I think it is the puppy, but realized I didn't hear the sound of his nails on the floor, which would have absolutely woken me up as I'm a very light sleeper. Also, it sleeps in a crate at night. Realizing that it could not be the puppy, I became frozen. It's hard to explain, but I really couldn't move. The blanket at my feet was being pulled very lightly over my legs to expose them. I start to shift around in my sleep and move the pillow off my eyes a little. To my surprise, I see Ryan standing by the side of my bed, completely still. I move around a bit more to signal I am waking up, unsure of what he is doing. He really quietly shuffles away. If I hadn't seen him, I probably wouldn't have heard him shuffle away at all. It was eerily quiet. I figured he was just trying to get one of my blankets without waking me up, as maybe him and Erin were cold. I turn onto my other side. The bed I slept in did not have a wall on either side, just the head, and I see him standing extremely still behind a wall in the kitchen. At this point, I'm frozen again, and my heart starts pounding. He then walks up and turns his phone flashlight on and shines it in my eyes, which were open a very small amount. This startled me, and I accidentally let out a noise. He quietly shuffled into his bedroom and I heard the door close. Again, I think he must have been trying to get a blanket and I fall back asleep. Probably an hour passes and I wake up to the exact same sensation of the blankets being moved from my body. My heart at this point is pounding incredibly fast and I'm scared he'd be able to hear it and realize I'm awake. My back was facing towards him and I keep feeling the covers getting peeled back. I think I was in shock, as I would never have thought he would do anything even remotely sinister. My back is exposed now, and I thought he was going to get into bed with me, which I thought I could use as an excuse to wake up and ask him what he is doing. Instead, the flash of his camera went off. Realizing what just happened, I started coughing and clearing my throat and moving around until he shuffled off again. I was very shocked and confused at this point, as I considered Ryan a friend of mine. At one point, I even started thinking that he must have had a plan in case I woke up, like attacking me or something. He most likely didn't, but that is where my mind kept going for some reason, and it made me too scared to move. From what I think was about 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., he constantly tried to move the covers off of me, but I had not fallen back asleep. I'd pull the covers tighter and tighter around me each time, as well as cough and yawn and stretch and generally give off signs that I was waking. Finally, at around 8 AM, he went back into his bedroom and I texted my boyfriend that I needed to talk to him when he woke up and to please call me. The sun was up at this point, and the room was completely bright. I figured I was safe at this point because it was officially daytime, and decided I could let myself relax until Erin woke up. About 45 minutes after I texted my boyfriend and Ryan really get on and like each other a lot. Ryan came back again. At this point I started yawning and stretching to let him know I was awake. He very hurriedly shuffled to his room and I quickly pulled out my phone and played a YouTube video quite loudly, hoping he could hear it. I'm just in complete shock because I thought we were friends and he respected me, yet he terrorized me all night. Also, I'm completely enraged at how he could do this at all, and even while in a relationship with my best friend. And selfishly, I'm angry that he put me in the position where I have to destroy her happiness. I know I have to tell her, but I'm unsure of what to say. I guess I just want to know how to go about this. I haven't spoken to either of them since, despite us previously speaking daily prior to this incident. I don't know if she will believe me, which is my greatest fear. I also don't know if she will hate me or blame me. I wish I had a night vision camera set up as proof. I really don't want to destroy everything she had wanted for so long, but I know I don't have a choice. How should I approach this? Do I text her? Ask to meet for lunch? Do I confront him? Keep thinking that it's going to ruin our friendship, and it's his word against mine. I'm also concerned that he posted the picture to some kind of creepshot forum. Any advice would be appreciated. I'm very sorry for the long post. That is absolutely terrifying. This guy spent hours terrorizing you during the night. Absolutely predatory behavior. And the fact that he just kept coming back, I can see why you just froze up, because that is a scary situation to be in. And I know it's easy for me to say this kind of thing, but I would definitely be considering telling Erin immediately what happened, that exactly what happened, before he can make something up to make some excuse for it somehow. I'm not sure how he would do that, but I'm sure he will try. And let's face it, you're not destroying her happiness here. Ryan's the one that did that. It's his actions are the one that's doing it. You're just saving her from wasting more time with someone who would do this to her best friend in their own home. I kind of wonder I'm not sure if they would do anything but getting the police involved as well, just having something down in writing, because you got to consider if this is the first time he's done something like this, because that is wild, isn't it? But a commenter says to OP, firstly, I'm so sorry this happened to you. I can see why you were so scared. Unfortunately, you don't have much control over whether or not she believes you, unless you feel like doing some sort of complex detective work to prove he has the photos or catch him in the act. Second one sounds kind of dangerous, so I wouldn't recommend it. Is there any way you can get access to his phone before he finds out that he took the photos? If not, then just tell everyone the truth in person. Your best bet is to point out that before this, you had no reason to distrust Ryan and therefore have no reason to lie. Regardless of who believes you and what they say, never be around Ryan again. He's clearly dangerous, and from what you said, he's probably very good at whatever the fuck he is doing. Opie says, I also wonder if he's ever done the same to her, but she let it slide or thought it was endearing or cute since they're in a relationship. Opie has given off some kind of vibe that he's into voyeurism or whatever this would be, so she can think back to that. I think I should probably ask her to meet alone in person. They live in a different town, so no access to his phone. Thank you so much for your response. Another commenter says, I definitely think it wasn't his first time, because he was so persistent. Can't believe how willing he was to getting caught, and how persistently he came back. MCQ says, I don't think this is something you'll really be able to hide. She's going to wonder why you don't want to hang out with her and her boyfriend. So really your only choices are to ghost your best friend silently or tell her and let her make her own decision. I would definitely tell her and maybe confront him if it's something you want and are comfortable with. Sounds like he could definitely use the confrontation if you're willing to give it, but it's also very probable that he'll deny everything. Opie says, that's the thing. I know if I ask him what he was doing, he'll say, what are you talking about? I definitely want to tell her. Thank you. Another commenter says, "Oh my god, this is terrible. Just another example of women being sexually harassed and not knowing what the fuck to do about it. Bless your heart. He's a jerk. You obviously have to tell her. She's your best friend. She's going to take your side. You have no reason to make up something like this. And if she demands, do see his phone when she accuses him. The evidence will be right there on it. Ugh, so angry for you." OP says, "Right after I left their place, I wish I told her to check his phone. I wonder if he put it on his laptop or something is the only thing. He isn't a dumb person. So I really feel like he would hide them somewhere. Thank you so much for your response." So it was 6 weeks after this that OP came in with an update and said, "Firstly, thank you for your overwhelming support in my last post, and thank you for sharing your stories. Everyone's advice was so helpful. Thank you again. I'm writing this update because a few of you asked for it. So I told Erin everything. It took longer than I would have liked to admit. But I started second guessing myself and asking myself if I really even knew what had happened. Like, what if I had somehow imagined it all? Hint, I didn't. I was just so truly scared that she would hate me. So we met and I told her everything. She listened quietly and responded by telling me, of course she believed me and she would talk to Ryan about it. We hugged. She reiterated that she would always believe me and we parted ways. It went over better than I expected. She texted me later that night, pretty devastated and kind of hysterical. She'd confronted him and he admitted to it immediately. She told me she was sorry that I felt violated in her home and that he was wrong for doing it, etc. She was really upset, naturally. She couldn't even go to work for a few days. Ryan said that everything I told her was true, aside from taking the picture. He said it was just a flash from his flashlight. He said he was curious and that he didn't know why he did it. He told her it was like an adrenaline rush. He also wrote me a long message telling me that he knows it was wrong and he was so sorry and he wanted to say something but didn't want Erin to break up with him. He said he hated himself for doing it and he acted on temptation instead of ignoring it. He said he was sorry I felt unsafe in his home and that he hurt both me and Erin. He said he was going to work hard to gain back my trust. I told him to focus on Erin right now. Erin told me he spent days crying to the point of throwing up. He also told her it wasn't sexual in nature. It was more of an adrenaline rush. I'm not really convinced by this, but Erin is. She also texted all the girls who have slept at their house, asking if they had a similar experience. They all reacted with complete disbelief and said absolutely not. Anyway, Erin is devastated, but I don't think they will be separating. She doesn't want him around me or any of her female friends for that matter. Saltpile says to OP, holy moly OP, I just saw your update. This guy has serious issues and his girlfriend is living in a fool's paradise. An adrenaline rush doesn't go on for literally hours. And if it's non-sexual, then what is he supposedly curious about? The color of your pajamas? I'm glad you could keep the friendship anyway. And I'm also glad that she isn't expecting/wanting you to act like nothing happened. But yikes. OP says, that is exactly what I pointed out to her too. It went on too long to be a fleeting lapse in judgment. But it doesn't seem to make a difference. So I decided that I'll support her in whatever decision she wants to make, as long as it isn't swept under the rug and I don't have to see him. I'm not sure why my update is locked, so thank you for replying here. I can only hope at the end of this that Erin's just a bit in shock at the moment for everything that's going on because, you know, staying with him after this? How do you stay with someone that you can't trust around other women, your female friends? It's just going to poison everything eventually, isn't it? I wouldn't trust a word. It was absolute bullshit what he was talking about that's not sexual in nature. I mean, come on now. So this story made its way to the best of Redditor update subreddit. OP turned up within the comments and said, hi there, I'm the OP. Crazy this is getting attention 8 years later. My bestie, not Erin, sent this to me. I thought I'd update everyone. A few years ago, Erin and Ryan broke up. I don't think their relationship ever went back to the way it was, and it really was inevitable. She did so much to separate him from her friends and definitely myself, which I'm super grateful for. My update for you all is rather positive. She met a new guy at my wedding, and they've been dating happily for some time now, which feels like a movie. I don't think people actually met at weddings, lol. Thank you for everyone's continued support and concern. I still think about how crazy it was that my instinct of freeze kicked in. I definitely thought I'd be in a flight or fight, which honestly was one of the most jarring parts of it all. Feeling frozen in a moment you felt like screaming. It made me overall much more aware of my own body and responses and helped me really use my voice when I need to. Thanks all. Edit. I don't know for sure if he did take pictures or not. I sometimes do wonder about it though. One more note to add. There were mild effects on my mental health. Feeling like I didn't know my own body for a while, or maybe not being able to rely on it for safety due to freezing. Thinking I caught a glimpse of him when walking around outside. Definitely in my head. A bit of buried resentment towards my friend for not immediately breaking up. But I know it is much more complicated than that, and it isn't my place to dictate that. I'm not wanting to sleep around people I don't know very well, and even people I trusted, which thankfully wasn't a situation I was put in often. But I'm totally okay now, and definitely talk with a therapist about all of this. It does make me a little sad to read my post though. And thank goodness for that Erin came to her senses in the end, and I'm glad to hear that OP is doing well at the same time. But, OP talking about freezing up. I think everyone thinks that, they go, full action hero or whatever, but sometimes your body just has different plans. But really, a true relief that she did get rid of him in the end. It's still worrying, if he ever did change his behavior or not, because he's still out there, of course. But I'm glad that your side of things are that you sound like you're doing incredibly well. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story is coming from Ditched and Ignored, and there is a trigger warning on it of drug use, mentions of deaths by overdose. So, again, if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. It's titled, My 23 female, boyfriend 26 male of 10 months ditched me on our date. So last night, my boyfriend and I were meant to go on a date, but it ended up turning into a sort of group thing with mutual friends. I was disappointed, seeing as we've barely had alone time and haven't had a date in over 2 weeks. My boyfriend reassured me that he will still make sure part of it was a date for us, and that would be fun, so I thought, why not? And we headed off to the pub. Things were going great for the most part, but about 1 hour in, I had to go to the bathroom. The pub was busy and there was a line of girls in the bathroom, so I waited, and I was in and out in about 10 minutes. Well, when I left the bathroom, I couldn't see my boyfriend or our friends anywhere, so I looked for them and I still couldn't find them. I checked my phone and there was no text from any of them, so I went to the bartender and just asked him if he saw them leave. He said they told him to let me know they left to go to a club, but he couldn't remember which one. I assumed to the club we planned to go to. Anyway, I was real hurt by this. I was only gone 10 minutes, so they could have easily waited. And to make things worse, my boyfriend was the one who drove me there. So I either had the option to walk in the middle of the night by myself, to get to the club, or call for an Uber, which I did. While I waited for the Uber, I shot my boyfriend a text asking him why he didn't wait for me, and if they're at the club, but he didn't reply. I even sent a text to my best friend, but she didn't reply either. I called them as well, and again, neither of them answered. Anyway, it took a while for my Uber to arrive, and by this point I was tired, and my boyfriend and my best friend still hadn't answered, so I just ended up going home. I showered, cooked myself some food, and then got ready for bed. By this time, I'd been around an hour since I had left the club, and my boyfriend still hadn't replied to any of my texts or answered my calls. I was getting worried that maybe something happened to him, so I called him again. No answer. I called my best friend. No answer. And I ended up calling 2 other people there, and again, no answer. I ended up going on Facebook and saw one of the friends I had called had uploaded photos of them all at a totally different club. Not the one we planned to go to. I was so hurt and angry at this point, I just sent my boyfriend a text basically telling him that how horrible it was for him not to even send me a text to let me know where they went. And I told him that for future reference, not to drag me along somewhere just to ditch me by myself and not even bother to wait for me or even call me to make sure I'm okay. At this point, it really hit me how messed up all this was. Not only did they all ditch me, they went to a different club, so if I'd went to the club we originally planned to go to, I'd be looking for them all night. It also really pissed me off that I was gone for over an hour and my boyfriend wasn't worried about me at all. Wouldn't most people be worried that they left their SO at a pub and hadn't seen them in 1 hour? If situations were reversed, I would have checked my phone and called because I would have been worried. So I ended up going to bed. When I woke up, my phone was flooded with texts from my boyfriend. He apologized, saying the bartender was meant to tell me where they went and they couldn't hear the phones in the club. I replied back to him saying how messed up it was that he left me and how thoughtless he was by not even sending me a text. I told him it was ridiculous for him to rely on a bartender who was extremely busy to tell me something he should have told me himself. He texted again telling me he is sorry, that he didn't mean to ditch me, as well as a bunch of other excuses and apologies, but honestly, they just annoyed me more. Now, I'm not sure if I'm overreacting and making a big deal out of nothing. I'm also not sure if I should sort this out with my boyfriend and forgive him for this, or if I should just dump him. I'd really appreciate any advice. Now, I'm going to come straight in on this one and say that's an absolute dump situation to me. He just showed you that you're not a priority in his life at all. He doesn't really care. He's just making up excuses and gaslighting you. Him randomly telling the bartender to be telling you that they went to a club when he could have just messaged you to begin with. I mean, come on now, come on. But a commenter says, you're not overreacting. What they did was unbearably rude and inconsiderate. You may want to rethink your choice of boyfriend and best friend. Blue says, man, I would dump them all. What the fuck? Opie says, I'm seeing him tonight and giving him a chance to explain in person, but I'm pretty certain that I'm going to end the relationship. Blue replies saying, I don't even see what explanation could make this okay. Like, for real, if they were gone to the hospital okay, but they were clubbing and abandoned you. Save me, Barry says, that is absolutely ridiculous behavior. I guess maybe if things have been completely perfect until now, then maybe you guys can get past it. But most reasonable people would be fucking done after something like that. Opie says things haven't been that perfect. I had problems with one of his female friends making very passive-aggressive comments towards me, and he would just downplay them or get annoyed when I defended myself. He also told us something private about me that I told him in confidence, but this happened early on in the relationship. I think I'm definitely done. It sucks, but I don't think I can forgive what he did. Opie comes in with her update and says, I've been texting one of my friends that was there last night, and she admitted that they all ditched me on purpose. They all decided at the pub that they wanted to do some hard drugs, and they thought I'd kill the mood and that I'd be uncomfortable. So rather than doing the decent thing and giving me a heads up, they decided to completely ditch me and ignore me. Rather than wait to see him tonight, I called my boyfriend to see if he would admit it, and he did. He said they were doing me a favor, and he knows I have a bad family history with drugs. 3 family members died from overdoses, which I still think is a poor excuse for what they did. They could have just been honest with me rather than basically abandoning me at the pub. I also asked why he did ignore me, and he just said he wanted to enjoy himself without feeling guilty. He kept apologizing, but I was just done at that point. I broke up with him, and it's safe to say I will also be ending my friendship with my so-called friends. In all honesty, I wouldn't care if they were doing drugs as long as they were safe. In fact, I would have liked to be there just so I could keep an eye on them and make sure they stayed out of trouble. But, oh well. Absolutely bullet dodged in this situation. Red flags all over the place, right? And she's made the absolute right choice to dump the lot of them because these aren't friends. They're people that's just going to sacrifice her for their own convenience when it suits them, like they did in this situation. 10 months in and he's already showing this. Absolutely, yeah. Trash took itself out in that situation. What do you guys make of this one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story is one from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit from a user called AStormInsideTeaCups, who says, Am I the arsehole for leaving because my sister-in-law hid my shoes to keep me from taking walks? Odd. Sorry if there are any sentences that are missing words. This was over 5,000 characters when I first wrote it, so I had to edit it down. She is my sister-in-law, not my sister. My sister-in-law has 3 little ones, and her husband, my stepbrother, had to leave the country for work for a few months. I offered to stay so I could help her out where needed, and she happily accepted. I live across town, so not that far. I was there for 3 days when my sister-in-law commented on me going on daily walks. I've taken a daily walk for at least a mile since October 2018. Yes, even with a cold. Yes, even in cold weather. Yes to all of it. On nice days, the walk is usually 4 miles. At my sister-in-law's, I started taking a path that was about 2 miles. I asked if she wanted me to watch the kids. Well, she got some exercise, and she scoffed and said she was too busy, but it must be nice. I was a little puzzled since I was offering to help, but the comments kept coming. She kept trying to poke holes. But it's not really a mile every day, right? And what would you do if you broke your foot? Would you get anxious if you couldn't take a walk? Then one morning, I couldn't find my shoes. My sister-in-law woke up an hour later. I was eating breakfast with the kids and I asked her. She told me to go check the back door. And when I'd gotten back, she pointed at them by the door and said I must have missed them. I took my walk after telling her that her joke wasn't funny. She was annoyed when I got back and told me that she thinks I need to see a therapist over my anxiety/obsession. I told her that I do have a therapist, and she said I clearly need a new one because this one isn't helping. I asked her point blank, why does it bother her so much if I want to take a walk? She said I was supposed to be there to help her with the kids, and I'm disappearing for hours at a time. I told her that my walks take about 30 minutes, and I'm doing it while they have downtime. I put my shoes in the guest room with the rest of my things, and they were gone the next morning. I just said fuck it and packed my things and left. My sister-in-law called me when I was on my way home and said I was overreacting and being childish, and this is why I'm single and alone. I told her I don't play these stupid games and that I would still pick up the girls and stay until she got home from work, but that she's on her own for everything else. Am I the arsehole? Edit, okay. I did not expect to be told I'm not the arsehole to this degree. I thought a lot more people would have arguments why I was, since it has to do with taking care of kids. Of course, like everyone's going to be telling you, you're not the arsehole in this situation, and what sister-in-law is doing here is actually quite worrying in some ways, right? I mean, you're offering to help, you were helping, and you were literally taking, 30-minute walks during downtime, you said, while still managing the kids. And instead of someone, appreciating the support, she's hiding your belongings like a child, and you can't trust her around your stuff. That's not normal. That's controlling, it's manipulative, and she's clearly got something going on about your walks or looking after yourself that's triggering her here. And what you said, I don't play these stupid games, is the only response that you need, because I wouldn't want to be around that. But a commenter says to OP, not the arsehole. It is most certainly your sister-in-law who needs a therapist. Something about your wellness routine is triggering her in some way. It is weird and unhealthy. Sister Tulip says your sister-in-law is jealous of your self-care and it's pathetic. Now she's realized she's taken it too far. She looks like a lunatic and she has no way to reasonably explain this to your stepbrother. You know, because what she did was nuts. Then she doubled down. I'm impressed you're still willing to interact with her at all. If she acts out of line anymore, disappear until stepbrother returns. Also, I'd contact him now and very calmly let him know what's up. Be sure to tell him she said A, you need therapy for daily walks, B, you're childish, C, leaving because your things get hidden are why you are single and alone. What's she going to do? Explain how she lost a reliable living, and then at least every workday babysitter because she's a controlling loon. Not the arsehole. And one more comment who says, you're my hero. You took action that was proportional to the offense. She is the one that needs to see a therapist to understand why she is so intolerant of other people's routines. She also needs to learn that her ways and opinions do not apply to everyone around her. Just because she is not doing anything to take care of herself, it doesn't mean that she gets to make decisions for others' health. Not the arsehole. Don't go back. Let her sleep in the bed she made. Absolutely wild behavior, and I can't see any other reason why OP would be the arsehole in this situation, but what do you think sister-in-law is up to? What is the reasoning? Do you just think she's expecting, like some of the commenters says, a live-in maid and she shouldn't be having a routine or anything like that? And she should just be like working for the family and that's it? Absolutely wild-ass thinking, right? But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. And hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's